Hello and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. Sorry, I didn't know if my mic was on there. I accidentally turned it on when I thought I turned it off, and then I turned it off when I thought I turned it on. Hello and welcome. I'd like to say a big shout out to everyone in the chat. There's loads of you out there this morning. You're all bright and early on this Monday morning. We've got Sarah in there, we've got Plum Duff, we've got Ian McKenna, we've got Billy Kershaw, we've got Gallifrey and Ren and Leapshin. If you would like to join them in the chat and possibly have your message read out live on YouTube, yay! All you need to do is hit the subscribe button below and wait for 30 seconds, and then you can add your bon mots to the chat. I know that's not how it's pronounced. Anyway, so moving on, we're going to be talking about Kemi Badenoch today. Badenoch, who has become leader of the opposition, the Conservative Party. Oh, I love hearing that. Oh, I love hearing the sound in opposition. The leader of the opposition. She's only got 120 MPs under her. And of them, only 42 voted for her to be leader, which is about a third. A third of the party want her to be leader. It wasn't exactly an emphatic victory by any stretch of the imagination, although she did take about 55% of the vote against Robert Jenrick, who got about 45% of the vote when it came to the membership, the ones who bothered to vote. Apparently, about 50 of them voted for both candidates because they were a bit confused at the 50-50 choices that they were given. Jesus, they're not sending their best. That's all I can say. Conservatives, they're not sending their best. Anyway, so Kemi Badenoch is now the leader of the Tory Party, with a small number of MPs behind her and a very small number of Conservative members behind her, and an even smaller proportion of the country behind her. And she hit the ground, not so much running, but more like feet first. Face first, actually. She hit the ground face first yesterday, where she was asked about Boris Johnson and his parties. And she said, well, it wasn't our fault that he had these parties. I mean, I thought the rules were too strict. Thanks for that. That really helps the thousands of people in this country who couldn't attend the funerals of their loved ones because of the restrictions the Conservative Party put in place during COVID while they were having a party every other night. While they were partying, they were raving. They were doing lines of coke off each other's arse cracks. That's what was happening in number 10, the seat of our leader in this country. They were doing drugs and having sex in cupboards and breaking children's swings and throwing wine up the walls. This was happening. Administration, and yes, we effed up. Yes, we shouldn't have done that. That was very bad. No, she comes out the gate, all guns blazing. It was good that we did. It was good thing that we did those parties, because otherwise, the COVID would have won. And I'm sitting there thinking, bloody hell, the brass neck on Kemi Badenoch. Now, there is something to be celebrated in the ascension of Kemi Badenoch to the Conservative Party. She is their fourth female leader, which is very impressive. She's the first black leader of a major political party in the UK. In the UK. I mean, UK-wide, not counting Scotland and Wales. She's arguably she's done well. But she's done well by cozying up to racists, which isn't great, is it? Really. And also, the criticisms against Labour for not having a single woman, or even a married woman, as leader, or anyone who is of an ethnic minority as leader. Fair enough. I take that criticism. I understand it. It's always been an old white man. Right. But, however, I will say this in Labour's defence, slightly. Okay? Labour have had 6 leaders since 1994 when John Smith died. So 6 leaders in 30 years. 30 years. 30 years, 6 leaders, right? Since Cameron resigned in 2016, the Conservatives have had 6 leaders. 6. In 8 years. So 30 years, 8 years. So if Labour had the same kind of turnover of leader as the Conservative Party does, then yeah, okay, I will take that on the chin, yeah. But I would really, really, really like the next leader of Labour to be a woman. End of. Just, yeah, I like the fact that our Chancellor is now a woman. I'm going to talk a little bit about the millionaires, the millionaire farmers who bought a farm to avoid inheritance tax, like James Dyson and Jeremy Clarkson, both privately educated, of course, who have now got egg all over their face because they're going to have to pay inheritance tax. No, they're not. Because first of all, inheritance tax is 40%, they're going to have to pay 20%, and secondly, they're going to have to pay it anyway because they'll be dead. They'll be dead. It's just your ungrateful crotch spawn that have to pay it. And they can pay it back over several years in installments. It's not one lump fee. In fact, small farmers are being looked after. Anyway, look, we're getting off the topic here. Let's go back to Kemi Badenoch, privately educated, of course, in Nigeria, funnily enough. But she has not much support in the party, not much support in the party faithful, and she hasn't got much support in the country. I don't think she's going to last. I think that she has a habit of saying the most ridiculous things out of her face before thinking about how ridiculous it's going to sound before she says it. I might be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'm sure I'll be wrong again at some point in my life. But I just can't see her lasting until the next election. That's my prediction. I've also got a prediction for the election in America, which you might like. I don't know. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, my friend. That is very kind of you. If Badenoch lost loved ones, she would have been completely different. She would soon want people to be understanding. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, the idea that you can defend the indefensible when there's no point in defending it anymore. Boris Johnson's no longer the leader. He's not even an MP anymore. He's just an annoyance who can't sell many copies of his book that no one wants to read because I don't give a shit about Boris Johnson. You know what? It just... There's a thing that kind of... I always think about when you get people who just defend stuff when there's no need to defend it. It's really weird. It's a really weird thing to do. And I wish that we as humans could just be a bit more honest with each other. You know, if your footy team does badly, say, oh yeah, we did badly. Let's talk about ways to improve. No, we don't do that. We blame the referee. We blame the other team for cheating. They were cheating. No, you just lost. I'm not as an Evertonian. I'm used to losing. Yes, we do need to make a better team. I just wish we could be more honest about it. And with our friends and our family, we probably could do well with just being honest with each other and saying, you know, this is problematic. I'm sure a lot of bad things and crimes and all kinds in the world could have been prevented if someone had stepped in and said, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you should think of it this way instead. But to actually defend the crimes of the previous administration shows that Kemi Badenoch has learned nothing from the crushing Tory defeat that saw them whittled down to 121 MPs. The fewest number of MPs that the Conservative Party has had for like ever. I was going to say 200 years, but I think it's ever. Ever. Anyway, do we have to talk about Kemi? We don't have to. Talk about the American election if you want. Kemi already making more enemies. Absolute gift to Labour. Well, I was going to say, only hated ones. Isn't politics draining? Yeah. I want to get back to travelling. Can we get back to travelling? Travelling's fun. I've got loads of travel footage. I've been cataloguing my travel footage from when I was visiting every country in the world, and I've got over 400 hours worth of footage, and some of it is so good. And it pains me that no one's seen it. It's like having a Picasso painting in the basement and no one's seen it. And you're like, what do we do? Well, it's not as easy as that because I suppose you could just give that to a museum. But yeah, I'm not saying that like me talking to the camera is amazing. I mean, some of the scenes, some of the footage that I got when I was traveling, it's just off the charts. I mean, it's blown out the water by anything that BBC Natural History Department can put together. But for me, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So yeah, I'd like to get back to that. I'd like to get back to just, I don't know, some semblance of normality, which I hope is going to come sooner rather than later, but I might be wrong on that. Let's look at tomorrow's papers. In the meantime, I'm going to look at the papers, and then we'll pop back just to talk a little bit before the outro about what's happening in America, and obviously what's happening in America tomorrow, which is the general election, or the presidential election. Well, actually, no, it's a general election because they also elect members of the Congress. Okay, so we've got the Mirror there. Lord Lucan's murder weapon. First picture of the lead pipe the aristocrat used to kill Nanny. Well, there you go. Lord Lucan murdered the nanny, ran away. I believe he lived in Africa for many years before he died. And then record 21 degrees Celsius weather as bonfire week heats up. The Star, as always, obsessed with the weather. I mean, this is why a lot of these rags like global warming, because it gives them something to talk about, doesn't it? Starmer, world must wake up to severity of migration crisis. This is going to be a speech that Starmer's going to make today, apparently, saying that we're facing a crisis of migration. And it's like, no, humans migrate. Humans migrate. When there was no jobs in Liverpool in the 1970s, half of the people who lived in the city left. Half of them. The population of Liverpool in the 60s was nearing 1 million. By the 1980s, it was half that. Now, today, it's about 485,000. Why? Because there were no jobs. Living there wasn't great. It wasn't a great, there were alternatives, other places you could live, other cities you could live, other countries you could live. When we were part of the EU, well, let's just go back to cities. There were other places you could go which were better. Now, if your entire country has turned to shit because it's Somalia, Eritrea, Libya, and people are fighting in the streets, warlords are rampaging, the government is autocratic and will put you to death as much as look at you, there's nowhere else to go. There's nowhere else to go. You've got to leave your country. So, two things. First of all, let's make it nice in the countries where people live so they don't feel like they have to leave. Let's stop this whole zero-sum game of the global south needs to be poor so we can be rich. It doesn't work like that. The more we trade, the more money we make. The more we sell, the more money we make. Lots of poor countries, can't sell to them. Can't stress this enough. Nobody in Burundi is going to buy a Nissan Qashqai built in Sunderland. No one. Nada. Zip. No one. Not a single person in Rwanda is going to buy that car. We make high-end tech stuff. We can't make t-shirts. We can't make clothing. We can't make cheap food to sell to Africa. We just can't. We haven't got the space, and we can't even feed ourselves. Never mind export food to other countries. I mean, obviously we can transport high-end food, but not cheap food. The cost of living in this country is very high. So if we tried to make an iPod, God, you know how old I am. If we tried to make an iPhone, it would cost £15,000 to sell. Like, yeah, you going to buy a phone for £15,000? No, because you're going to buy it from China, where the cost of living is a lot lower, and they don't have to pay people so much to make the stuff, and that's a bit shit for the people who live in China. But it means that you only have to pay £1,000 for your. Why would anyone pay £1,000 for a phone? Never mind, 15. Okay, so moving on. Reeves, we can't afford farmers to die tax-free. Yes. Okay. Dyson blasts a spiteful budget. That's from the Times. This is James Dyson, privately educated, of course. Big Brexiteer. Big defender of British industry and British stuff, and moved his headquarters to Singapore after the Brexit vote, which he told people to vote for. He seems nice. Anyway, Trump attacks fake poll after late Harris search. I'm going to get into this. I'm going to get into the poll from Iowa. Don't you worry. And then the Queen of Spain there, feeling Spain's fury. The King and Queen of Spain, they got a lot of shit yesterday. They got a lot of shit. There was a guy, and you can see it here in this picture of the King. That's the King looking up at this. This guy was screaming in his face. And to give them the credit, they actually spoke to the people there. That they got pelted in mud and fruit, but they stayed. They didn't just jump in a car and run away. I couldn't see King Sausage Fingers, King Sausage Fingers doing that, could you? So little bit of credit to the Spanish king there, who's not as much of a drain on the resources of that country as our king is on ours. If anyone saw the Dispatches documentary over the weekend, OMG. Right, super chat from Ivan Ambrose again. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I will never forgive Badenoch for what she said about autistic people. I do not get advantages and special treatment. Because of her party, I have to go private and pay for my support. Yeah, absolutely, mate. She has all of the empathy of a praying mantis. Like, she does not care. And that is the difference between the Tories and Labour. At the end of the day, it's not really about policy. I mean, they're pretty much of a muchness. It's more about whether they give a shit or not. And although you might argue, if you're a hard leftist, that Labour don't give a shit about anyone but themselves, the actual Labour MPs, the individual Labour MPs that I have met in my life, I know that the plural of anecdote isn't data, however, they give a shit. They actually care. They're not just in it for themselves. They're not in it to feather their own nest and feather their own nest to their families and friends, They're in it because they want to, they want to make things better for people, whether it's in their constituency or just in general, in life. And the Tories don't have that. And I think that's the empathy gap, should we call it. You see it, the Greens have it. The SNP has it, even with all the scandals and all the shit that's gone on with the SNP. They have it. Plaid Cymru have it. The Lib Dems have it. Going in with the Tories in 2010 just destroyed the Lib Dems because it made people feel, who had voted Lib Dem all their life, I guess, that the Lib Dems didn't care. Because they were in with a bunch of people who genuinely didn't. They don't care if you live or die. I do. The people watching this, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you care about your neighbours and your friends and your family and your community and your country and the world. The Tories don't. That's why they don't give a shit about climate change. Does it make any money? I don't care. Anyway, so moving back to the papers. Small boats, smugglers to face fast track justice like rioters. Okay, fair enough. I don't think that's going to work. I think we need safe routes. Two things. I was going to say two things before. I kind of forgot what the second thing was. Two things. First of all, we need to help make these countries better by giving them reparations, if necessary, but investment reparations. And also, we need to make it so that it is easy for people to apply for asylum here without having to cross oceans in rickety little boats to try and get to this country before they can apply for asylum. No, they should be able to apply for asylum anywhere in the world. They need to go, book an appointment at the British Embassy, get a number, get themselves, fingerprint scanned, iris scanned, all that kind of stuff. You pay your fee. Don't make it much. Don't make it thousands. Just make it enough, that you make a little bit of money out of it. There you go. You like that, don't you, you Tory bastards? Go on. You can make a $5 out of every refugee who applies. We'll make a $5, all right? We'll make a little bit of money on the side. You like that bit, don't you? So we're charging £45, say, because it costs £40 to do the thing that needs to be done, and then we'll just keep the £5 for ourselves, eh? Yeah, we'll put that in our back pocket. Yeah, making money out of human misery. You like that, don't you? Good. Okay, so they apply, they pay a fee, they get the fingerprint scan and their irises and everything, so you know who they are, where they're from, what their problem is, why they need to get away, and then that comes to Britain, and then we make a decision within 3 months. We say yes or no, like we do with visas. We say yes or no. Anyone can apply for a visa. You've got to understand, it's like anyone can apply for a visa. And the idea that if we had a system where you could apply for asylum, many people would try, but, it's not going to be insurmountable. Because I'll say this again, anyone can apply for a visa. And we say no to a lot of people. We do. And if we've said no to someone who's asked for asylum in our country, fine. Look, there's a load of other countries that they can try out. But if they do come over here in a small boat or on the back of a lorry, we have their fingerprints and their iris scans. So we know who they are. And we say, oh, sorry, Roger, whatever your name is. We're going to have to fly you back to where you came from because we've already said no. And legally, because your claim has been dismissed, we can legally do that now. Immediately. We're having to faff around. Anyway, right. I shouldn't go on these mad rants when I've got this like thing at the side of me. I should go back into full screen mode. Anyway, Harris and Trump make final push in swing states, the swinger states. And then you have abandoned us. Mud and insults thrown at King Philippe of Spain on visit to flood-hit town. Understandably. But the response in Spain has been absolutely disgraceful. But I don't think the same thing had happened in the UK, that we would have been much better. Paul Ewan, thank you very much. Valencia storms wiped out thousands of greenhouses. Those would have been providing produce to the UK this winter. More empty shelves. Yeah, thanks for the super chat, mate. And very good point. Well made. It's going to affect everyone, as global warming will. Global warming will mean more migration. But humans migrate. I can't emphasize this enough. Humans move. They're like, oh, this place isn't very good. I'm going to move somewhere else where my life chances will be better. You know, if you got kids, you're not going to bring them up in a slum if you've got the opportunity to go somewhere else that's not a slum. You know, and most people stay in their own country. The amount of internally displaced people, like they've stayed in their own country, but they've moved somewhere else because of whatever, that eclipses the number of well-known refugees who have actually left the country and are trying to go somewhere else because it's really difficult. It's really difficult getting asylum. Anyway, a leader who knows how to get Britain's economy booming. Steal of the new Iron Lady. How's that turn out, eh? The Mail? Yeah. Economy booming. Is it by Brexit by any chance? There's Trump stimulating oral sex again for some reason. I don't know. On the front of the Financial Times. It's just something he does. You know, if anyone else did that in the world, that would be the front page of news forever. You'll never hear the end of it. If Leonardo DiCaprio did that at an awards ceremony, you'll never hear the end of it. But yeah, Trump did it, and it was just Saturday, wasn't it? It's just Saturday, it's just whatever, you know. He does that. He does that kind of thing. He also called on his supporters to shoot the press. If you're gonna shoot me, shoot through the press. Kill them all to death. Chinese crackdown threatens new blow to investor confidence. Self-inspections demanded, businesses and wealthy targeted. Property slump leaves revenue gap. And then we've got Spanish royals face floods fury, in that picture of King Philippe there in the crowd. Oh, and we've got a couple of more papers. I was going to leave it at that. We've got Spain's king and queen pelted with mud by crowds chanting murderers. It's got a whiff of the French Revolution about it. It's 1789, isn't it? Refugees are literally lifesavers. Camilla shines spotlight on domestic abuse in documentary. And what a cheek, says the Daily Express. I was wrong to say I wouldn't put up taxes. Well, if you read the whole thing, as she said, it's Rachel Reeves, she said, well, if I'd known that the Tories had lied to the OBR, that I wouldn't have said it. But she didn't know that because the Tories lied to the OBR. Britain's hope for Harris win, but most think Trump will be president. Well, that's where you're wrong, viewers, newspaper people. I think Kamala's going to walk it. Let me make myself quite clear. I don't think Trump is going to take this lying down. I think he's going to use every dirty trick in the book. I was worried that the polls were looking very, very dicey, like 50-50 in some of the swing states. However, there's been a problem with the polling in the US, which is that a lot of those polls coming in have been paid for by Republicans, and it's in their interest to make it look tight. But also, it's in the Democrats' interest to make it look tight, so that people, don't think, oh, I'll just sit on the couch. To think, oh my God, Trump is going to be president. I better go and vote. I'll come back to this momentarily because we have a couple of super chats just came in at like the same time. I love it when that happens. Serendipity. Maggie Pie, first of all, thank you very much for the 20 Swedish krona. Kemi Badenoch is the new Tory leader. Oh dear, yeah, I know. I give her 6 months. Katrina Tam, woo! £5 super chat, thank you very much. Hi Graham, haven't had time to watch any streams for a while. Glad to see you got your hat back. Yes, thank you. It was in my bag. It was in my laptop bit of my bag. I'm a bit funny about my bag. Like things go in the right place in my bag. And it's a strategy, so I don't leave things behind because I'm like, I'll look in the different sections of my bag before I leave to make sure that all the things are in there. and I was packing my laptop away, and I found my hat with my laptop. And I put it in there because when I got back the night before, I was a little bit refreshed, shall I say. So I put my hat in the wrong section of my bag. And then I spent literally an hour that morning trying to find me freaking hat. Anyway, Biden Flavor Corn Pop. Thank you very much for the £10 super chat. I early voted as a Pennsylvania voter from Tokyo, Graham. It's important to know that US super rich deaf do know what to do with their money by an undemocratic two-party duopoly. Well, yes, it isn't very democratic, but then what's even less democratic is the Republican MAGAs saying things like, why do we need to give people the vote anyway? This is literally what they're saying. Because we control this state's legislature well, let's say the word legislature. It's quite difficult to say. We control the governor's mansion in this state. So the governor should make the decision, because it's a Republican governor. They should make the decision on behalf of everyone. We shouldn't be allowed to vote, really. This is a Republican state. It should just vote Republican. Just vote for Trump. Don't let people vote. Don't let women vote. Don't let ethnic minorities vote. Just don't go. Yeah, I hope for better. But again, it's what separates the right and left to me. The people say it's about, economic values and individualism versus collectivism. But I think more than anything, it's like whether people care about each other or not. And I do think that Kamala Harris really cares. I think she really gives a shit, and she'll do a good job. I think she'll do an excellent job. And one thing that is sort of making me feel a bit better about this whole campaign as well is that Kamala's been so positive. I wish her campaign had started a year and a half ago. I wish Biden had got out the freaking way earlier, but what's done is done. But I like that she has had this really positive message. And if anyone saw her appearance on Saturday Night Live on Saturday, I'm sure you'll agree with me. She seems really nice. Like, I know that's not seen as a good thing in life, in politics. Someone who seems like a good egg. But for some of us, it's still important. But I would trust her. I would trust her to look after me dog for the weekend. I wouldn't trust Trump to look after a bowl of ice cream. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't trust him to look after anything. Not an animal, not a person. Would you leave Trump to babysit your kids? No, you bloody wouldn't. You absolutely 100% wouldn't. Why not? Well, for the same reason you wouldn't let Jimmy Savile or Jeffrey Epstein or Rolf Harris anywhere near your freaking kids. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I really like the positive campaign that she's been doing. And I think this is the big difference between 2016 and now, is that in 2016, it was definitely, you need to vote against Trump. Who do we have to vote for? Hillary. And although I think that Hillary was really qualified for that role, she isn't, and she never was as personable as Kamala Harris or anyone else who's run for president. She certainly wasn't as personable as Barack Obama. And I think that really stymied her campaign, because she doesn't have much in the way of a personality, whereas Trump, for all of his horribleness, he does have a personality. I mean, there's a psychotic, narcissistic personality, but a personality nonetheless, whereas Hillary Clinton always came across as like a Lisa Simpson episode of The Simpsons. You're like, oh, it's a Lisa-centric episode. Maybe I'll skip this one. Next. So in 2016, more people were sort of voting against Trump rather than for Clinton. Whereas this time with Harris, it seems like people are actually motivated to vote for her. They actually, obviously there's a big sort of Damocles that there's Trump, the people are voting against Trump at the same time, and they're also voting against really restrictive measures on abortion, IVF, pornography, which is going to be banned if Trump gets in. I don't know if a lot of the tech pros know that. Yeah, it's good that you've got the two sides to that, and I think that her running mate Tim Walz is really good as well. He's really personable. He comes across as a decent guy. And I loved when he was playing John Madden. What's just called Madden. The kids call it Madden these days. Playing Madden on Twitch with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I thought that was great. I just, little touches like that you couldn't see Trump doing. Could you see Trump going on Saturday Night Live and being, a bit of self-deprecation? Do I really laugh like that? Could you see Trump doing that? Self-deprecating Trump. Are you kidding me? The guys, yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about this poll that came out of Iowa because it's 10 o'clock and we need to wrap up in a moment. Thank you very much to Ivan for another £10. Ivan, you're being very, very, very generous this morning. Thank you so much. I'm disappointed that Professor Tim Wilson has made a video saying that Sunak's response to the budget was his best speech ever. In my eyes, it was his worst speech ever. Yeah, I thought it was awful. It was really petulant. It was like, because he felt like that particular budget was targeted against him. Do you know why he felt that? Because it freaking was. Because he is one of the super wealthy. So him spitting his dummy out the pram about inheritance tax, about capital gains, which is the only way he makes money. Like, his way of making money every year is capital gains on his investments and emphasis. His wife's investments and emphasis. Plus, cracking down on non-doms. What was his wife? Famously, when she lived at 11 Downing Street in London, she was a non-dom. She was not really domiciled here, even though her husband was the Chancellor of the Exchequer. And by doing so, she avoided paying £20 million of tax. Which is funny, because if you pay £20 too little tax, you get the HMRC on your arse for the rest of time. But, it's fine for her. It's fine. No, it's cool. Everything's groovy. Everything is awesome. Anyway, Trump has done SNL in the past. Did he? I mean, was this before he went full MAGA lunatic? I don't know. I just couldn't see him do something like that now. He's too far gone. I mean, he's just a ball of anger and vengeance and insanity and dementia. Thank you very much to Maggie Pie for the 20 Swedish krona. Trump or Kemi Badenoch, who would watch your cat? I mean, maybe if you didn't like your cat. So, there was a poll that came out over the weekend from Iowa, which is a solidly Republican state. And this is a state in which 538 gives Trump a 95% chance of winning. And this poll came out from a very, very respected pollster who has got things deadly accurate in the past. Even like there's been a couple of cases where they've actually said they're going to be up 18%, 18%, 18 points, and they have been exactly 18 points. It's she's really good. She's really good. Anyway, so this poll came out, and it was a bit of a shock for the Trump campaign because it showed that Trump wasn't 5 points ahead like he was in all the other polls. In fact, Kamala was 2 points ahead. In Iowa, a very, very red state, a blood red state. Not a 99% Trump state, but a 95% Trump state. This is somewhere that they thought was going to go to Trump. Iowa. If you extrapolate that out across the country, then Kamala doesn't just win in Iowa. She also wins in Ohio. And if she wins in Ohio, then she wins in Florida. And if she wins in Florida, she wins in Texas. Texas. Forget about your swing states. Iowa's just become a freaking swing state. And although, yes, it's within the margin of error, which is 3%, and she was only up by 2% or 2 points, the fact remains that this might be the picture that emerges over the next couple of days. As, so many people have already voted, but then people are going to be voting in the election in secret. And this is something that is really going to buoy up Kamala Harris, because the votes for her from women absolutely outstrip the votes for men for Trump. More women are voting. Fewer men are voting. More young women are voting for Kamala. Fewer young men are voting for Trump. And don't forget, there's a massive movement within the Republican Party against Trump. Kamala doesn't have that. She doesn't have a group in the Democrat Party, like the Never Hillarys of the Bernie Sanders days. She doesn't have that. Bernie Sanders is behind her. The AOC is behind her. People who are talking about the way this election is going to shake out, whether the moderate Democrat or the far left Democrat, they're behind Kamala. They want Kamala to win this, and even if they don't agree with all of her policies, all of her stances on everything, they're supporting her. That is not the same with Trump. And then you've got the situation where Trump is saying about Republicans like Liz Cheney that she should be put in front of a firing squad. This is something Trump said over the weekend. I really hate, and I will never forgive the media for not banging on about this till the end of time. That Trump says these things and they just give him a pass. It's just, it's 3 o'clock. Yeah, of course he says something mad. It's, he does it every hour. But he said that he wanted Liz Cheney, the daughter of Dick Cheney. Like, these are Republican royalty, and I don't agree with Liz Cheney on any political matter, but I do agree with her that Trump is an absolute freaking nightmare. And he said that she should be put in front of a firing squad. And it's the Democrats who are told to tone down the rhetoric. All right, Donny. All right, mate. Republicans on C4 News last night were trying not to sound terrified by that poll. Lol. How do you Corbyn fanboys feel about Blairite Starner? Who's Starner? Winning like we told you clowns, says GRT Carver, who I think is new to this channel. But, whatever. It's always nice to have newbies in the chat. Just I tell you what, just sit at the back and listen, and you might catch up with everyone else, because this channel, we're not Corbyn fanboys here. Let's put that to bed. All right. Anyway, Texas nearly went Dem last time round, says Vega Astro. Yep, exactly. Exactamundo. Johan, I wonder the polls are pricing the massive GOP snub towards Puerto Rico. If not, fun times ahead. Yeah, that's going to be big. Andrew says she's not going to win Ohio, Texas, or Florida. Lol. Okay, well, it's a possibility. It's a possibility. Let's see. What an incredible week ahead, says Plum Duff. That's one word to use, Plum. So we're not going to nose one on Wednesday morning. I mean, we're just not, because some states have these stupid rules, like they're not allowed to start counting the postal votes till the day of the election. It's just like, why can't you prep? Why can't you prep in advance? Like, what difference would it make? No, you can't wait because it might influence it. No, just don't tell anyone what the results are. So we can get a result on the night. That'd be good. Andrew, £5 super chat. Woo! Graham, is Marcus going out to Panama with you this time? $5 for the beers for this trip. Will you have Starlink this time? Pretend it's not for Melon. Milan. Should we call him Milan from now on? Andrew, no. On this trip, Marcus isn't coming out with me. Marcus has things to do in France, but also, this trip is not to be fixing up the house, which it was last time. This trip is literally every day every day it's not raining, is going to be bringing soil from the mainland over to the island to build it up because it's going underwater because of climate change. Something that Trump goes, he said that, who cares? He literally said this weekend, who cares about climate change? He went, yeah, the oceans are going to rise. Who cares? Well, I care. Katrina Tam, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. That's very kind of you. Trump won one election once in 2016. He and all his picks have lost every election ever since. Yeah, Katrina. So that gives me a little bit of a spring in my step. A spring in my step, a feather in my Stetson, called macaroni. So listen, I'm gonna sign off in a minute, but before I do, bit of housekeeping. We're gonna be back tonight at 8 o'clock for Stateside, which will be the last Stateside before the American election, in which I'll be talking to Mikey Famine about the sound of the underground, the word on the street over in Chicago. Oh, we've got another super chat. Thank you, Ivan. Isabel Oakshit has said that benefit claimants, including disabled and or mentally ill people, are parasites. Yeah. Privately educated Isabel Oakshit. What can be done to hold her to account and reprimand her? How can we make an official complaint against her? I don't know. Ivan, is a straight up answer. If you'd asked me that question a few years ago when Katie Hopkins went too far and called people, asylum seekers, she called them cockroaches, and that was it. She was dropped from LBC. She was dropped from a newspaper column. Like, no one wants anything to do with her. She was dropped off Twitter. That we don't live in that world anymore. All of these scumbags, right-wing lunatics, transphobes, Nazis, just total bigots are being welcomed and monetized back onto Twitter. That includes Andrew Tate. It includes Katie Hopkins, includes Graham Linehan, but also it includes Donald Trump, who was kicked off Twitter a couple of days after the insurrection of January the 6th, 2021, because he, instigated a riot in which 9 people ended up dying, in which over 150 police officers were injured, in which over $3 million worth of property damage was done to the Capitol building in America. $3 million of damage done by a braying mob of his supporters. So he's kicked off Twitter, but he's back. He's back now. He's back with Elon Musk's... Oh God, I hate Elon Musk. He's so horrible. Elon Musk is like that horrible kid from school who's kind of like wants to be a bully, but doesn't really have the physicality to be a bully. So he's just horrible instead. He's just horrible. He's just a horrible individual. He's just a nasty, shitty piece of work. And he's just spiraled. And, what I call George Lucas syndrome, where people are around and going, yeah, you're a genius, George. You know everything. We're not going to disagree with any of your crazy ideas, George. Yes, a jive-talking amphibian in this Star Wars movie who steps in shit. Yes, that needs to be in this movie, George. That is a genius idea. If you surround yourself with sycophants and yes men, you end up with Star Wars Episode 1. You end up with Donald Trump. You end up with Elon Musk. These people have fanboys and fangirls who just go, oh, you're amazing. You're so amazing. And do you know what? Do you know what I love about this channel? It keeps me grounded, If I say something that's not true, you correct me. You correct me in real time here in the chat. Brilliant. That's what we need. We need that. I mean, I don't appreciate people calling me a knobhead, but horses for courses. But yeah, if this had been a few years ago, I think that would be it for her career as a journalist, where she cosplays as a journalist. She's just a rich girl. She's just a spoiled little privileged rich girl whose boyfriend was the leader of the Refuck Party, another privately educated pompous prick. But there's not much we can do about that lot at the moment. I'm hoping things might change. The winds might change, my friend. And maybe if this is a devastating defeat for Trump, I really hope it is. I really, really hope it is. Then, the attitudes around the world will change. We'll have to wait and see, because if Trump loses, a lot of dominoes are going to fall. Putin is FTW for the window. Elon Musk will go to jail. He will absolutely go to jail. I will guarantee that man will be in jail within a year of this broadcast. Okay, I'll stick my hat on it. My hat. Okay. I love this hat. If Kamala wins, Musk is in real trouble. He's in real trouble. You're talking about a government contractor who has had regular conversations with the leader of Russia, who most of the military contracts for building military stuff that America has with its contractors is going to Ukraine at the moment to fight against who? Oh, that guy. That same guy. That same guy who possibly shouldn't be having nice little fireside chats with a guy who's effectively a defense contractor for the US government. I mean, like I said, if going for a 3-day trip through Sudan 12 years ago is enough to ban me for an ESTA for America for life, a visa waiver for life, then, I think what Elon Musk should get for doing that should be life. And also, all the investors who are giving him money. They gave him money. They gave him money for a Ford, a Tesla Roadster. A Tesla, when was that? 5 years ago? 6 years ago? These massive deposits. That's like $50,000 or something for a deposit for a car. It's not even built one yet. They're not even built as prototype yet. How is he not already in jail? Well, he's not already in jail. This is why he's so far up Trump's arse. He needs a flashlight. Anyway, don't stick the hat on it, Graham. Stick a different hat on it, like the hat I got You got on there. Thanks. Leanne Scott says, yeah, that security clearance seems fishy. It does indeed. That's a weak bet. Grim. Staking your heart, you're getting a new one. I thought you were supposed to be on your island, Graham. Am I behind the loop? No, I'm going on Friday. So that was the last Politics Social, Friday night social for a little while, I think. Unless we can get Mikey to host it, which he might try and do a week on Friday. But we're going out with a bang. We are going out with a bang. Tomorrow we'll have Phil Morehouse in for me. For the channel. We'll have Phil Morehouse on the show on tomorrow on Morning Brew at 9:30. And then at 10 o'clock at night, tomorrow night, it's the big one. We're doing our second mad election jamboree of the year. Yes, we're going to be doing an all-nighter. We're going to be pulling an all-nighter. And yes, I know that all the results won't come in and we probably won't know the actual picture of the result of the election for a few days, but you never know. It might just be a landslide for Harris. You never know. Because it's electoral college vote. It's basically first past the post. Whoever gets 50.1% of the vote in any given state gets all of the electoral college votes for that state. So even though it seems a bit crazy to say this, a landslide victory for Harris or Trump could be a normal polling error away. So let's hope that goes well. I'm going to be joined on the couch by Ben Chambers of 16 Million Rising podcast, and we'll be pulling an all-nighter. We'll be pulling an all-nighter, and we'll be pulling in people from other shows and other channels to come and talk to us throughout the night. There's going to be nothing coming in really until about maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock. But don't forget, polling closes earlier in America. And because of daylight savings, they're only five hours behind us now. So if polls are closing at sort of 8 o'clock, you're going to be seeing results coming in about 1 o'clock. Not the final results, but just some things that give us an idea of how many people were voting one way or another. So join us for the US election jamboree tomorrow at 10 o'clock p.m. And before then, 8 o'clock today, we've got stateside. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. Come on, America, vote blue, says Steve C. Yeah, vote for the team that doesn't mind giving a blowjob in front of lots of people at a stump speech in God knows where. Because that's what Trump did this weekend. And I'll never be clean again. Anyway, so thank you so much for watching. Thanks, everyone, for the chat. Intersection this week. Yeah, I don't know how awake I'm going to be for it. But yeah, we're hoping to have an intersection this week as well. And yeah, so please join us for that. Business as usual this week. Next week's going to be a bit different. It's going to be a bit funky. So join us for that. Bye for now. And I will be doing like special shows from the island. So it's not like you're going to have 3 weeks of radio silence. You are not. So I'll take you on a journey over to Panama. You can see what life is like on the other side of the world, where we are combating the effects of climate change and what we can do to fight it and save our mangrove islands, which are an important carbon sink. So there you go. Okay, so thanks for watching. Thanks to all the chat. Thank you for the super chats. Give us a like on the way out. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.